really must eat something, you know. Elenore, dear, you mustn't slouch. Mother, I do wish you would have some tea. Father's been dead for 6 weeks now, and you mustn't mope about.
Mother!
Well, she mustn't. Lord knows I didn't mope about the house when your father died. There was work to be done. Between the gardening and the housekeeping and tending to Papa's affairs, there was no time at all to be giving into such humours. It's all well and good for you, isn't it, Mother? You sit idly by while the rest of us do your handiwork. My goodness, this place is a pigsty. Is that how you would like to live, Mamma? In a pigsty? I'd be more than happy to oblige you if you wish. Elenore, be a dear and go fetch me 2 sows from outside, perhaps the fat one from the neighbour's yard. They can keep Mamma company. Oh yes, some recognition. Welcome back to the sitting room, Mamma. Would you like a spot of tea?
Blah.
Perhaps I have used too much water. Elenore, come. We shall leave Mamma to her humours. Elenore.
I'd like to stay with Grandmama, please.
I see. In her pigsty. Well, perhaps we'll all just sit around and drink from Grandma's trough. Yes, well, it's not quite as good as the handmaids used to make it. I am terribly sorry, Mamma. I did say some terrible things just now, and well, I am trying so hard to keep this household going. First after Edgar's death, and now Papa's. We really are alone here, aren't we? 3 women. Poor Elenore isn't married. Lord knows with her complexion, she may never have the privilege.
Mama!
Well, it's true. You can't help it, dear, and we all love you very much, but the good Lord has blessed you with the gravest assurance of chastity this town has ever seen. Where does that leave us? A mother who refuses to clean an inch. A daughter incapable of marriage. And I, poor I, caught like a ship at port beneath a raging tempest, pulling hard against the tethered riggings, thrashing violently against the sturdy moor, yearning desperately to sail out into the open ocean, yet halted brusquely by the sturdy clove knot of some bastard yowman who has strung us to the pier. Lean too far in one direction, and I'll split apart. List too far in the other, and there's no telling what uncertainties might await. There's so much darkness in the world today, so many vast and unimaginable abstractions. How are we to go on, dear mother, if not together? How can we survive, if not by strapping ourselves in unison to the mast? This storm threatens to engulf us, Elenore. If we do not engage together, we are not likely to survive. Come, my loves, you must join with me, my daughter and my mother, and we will pull with all our might against these riggings.
How do you know so much about sailing, Mother? You speak as if you've gone 100 times.
I used to read your father's novels when he lived. I read one once of a giant whale and a great sea captain chased him unto the farthest reaches of the ocean. It was quite romantic in a way. And another one by a Mr. Verne, an American, I believe. This one told of a giant squid who attacked their steel submersible. I say, the ocean is full of giant things, isn't it? It's a wonder any ships make it home at all in such conditions. Perhaps it's safer to stay at port, now that I consider it. Well, we're all done with the afternoon tea. Come, let us withdraw ourselves into the kitchen and prepare our supper. Will you be staying inert for the rest of the evening, Mamma? Very good, carry on.
Mama!
Yes, dear?
I'm not quite sure how to prepare supper. Mrs. Edmund always did that for us.
Yes, I know, dear, but when Papa died, he didn't tell us where he hid the money. And Mamma's no help in that regard. I couldn't very well ask Mrs. Edmund to work for free, now could I? The poor dear stayed on for 2 weeks as it was. I did what I had to do. Mrs. Edmund understood, and so should you. Now, please, I shall require your assistance in the kitchen.
Marvin.
Will you be fine by yourself for a few moments?
Marvin.
Marbles?
No, I believe she's saying Marvin, Mother.
Marvin? Well, what on earth is Marvin?
No, I think it's a name.
A name? I've never heard of such a name.
Marvin.
Starving? Are you hungry, Mother? I offered you some tea.
Marvin.
She's saying marmalade, perhaps. I think she's hungry.
No, she's saying Marvin, Mother. She's clearly saying...
Marvin!
Yes, but who is Marvin?
Marvin!
Papa's name was Benedict, Mama, not
Marvin!
Well, there's no need to shout about it.
Marvin!
My goodness, Mother. I don't know what's happening
Marvin!
to you. Mumsy, what on earth?
Marvin!
Oh, I swear she can be such a spoiled brat sometimes. Mother, I cannot assist you if I do not know what it is you want.
Marvin!
Oh.
Forgive me, ladies, I did not mean to startle you. I was merely intending to rap ever so gently upon yonder exterior window pane of yours when my clumsy staff went right on through. I shall pay for the window, of course. Such troublesome amateurs, always breaking when you least expect it. How much would you say? 10 shilling? Ah, 6 crown. 14 guineas. I'm afraid I've never paid for a window before, so I'm
Who
afraid
are you?
Oh, forgive me, my ladies. My name is Marvin. I say, wouldn't she be all right?
She's fine. Marvin who?
Oh, Babcock, madam, at your pleasure.
As in Sir Chesterfield Babcock.
Yes, madam. Sir Chesterfield was my grandfather.
Grandfather? Well, Sir Chesterfield was younger than I am. At least I believed him to
Oh,
be.
good heavens, no, madam. You're thinking of my uncle, Sir Chesterfield Babcock the younger. Sir Chesterfield Babcock the elder. That was my grandfather. He's been dead for nearly 7 years, though. God rest his soul.
I am very sorry for your loss. Speaking of which, have you met my mother? This is Madame Maude Bantam of the Rosecombe line. Her great-great-great-grandfather, Henry Rosecombe, was a direct descendant of King Richard III.
Well, I'm not quite sure I'd recognize her in this position.
Oh, yes, of course. I do apologize. Mother, wake up. You're embarrassing me. I'm so sorry. Old age and laziness do not go hand in hand. Mumsy,
Where am I?
you're in the sitting room, Mother.
What am I doing in the sitting room?
Mother, this is Marvin.
Yes, I see. What on God's green earth is Marvin?
It's his name, Mother. Marvin Babcock.
How do you do, madam?
I'm quite well, thank you. What kind of name is Marvin?
I don't know. But you were shouting it several moments ago.
Shouting? And why should I be shouting? And surely not a name I've never heard before. Don't be ridiculous. Welcome, Sir Marvin, and please do excuse my daughter's exaggerations. She has much of her father in her, I'm afraid.
The name is Welsh, my lady.
Hmm?
The name Marvin comes from Wales. My mother comes from Wales.
Oh, yes, I do recall that Chet used to mention his Aunt
Mother?
Louisa down in Wales. I mean, Sir Chesterfield, of course.
Of
Yes.
course.
Have you met my daughter? This is Elenore. She'll be 17 this April. And as yet unpromised.
My lady,
Good sir.
I must say, you're more beautiful in person than in all the tales I've heard about you.
You've heard
You heard tales about my daughter?
Why, yes. I've heard that Elenore is the fairest, sweetest, and the loveliest creature in all the town of Orpington.
Ha! The only person telling tales in here is you.
What are you saying, Mother?
Hmm? What? Oh, I haven't said a word, dear. I'm merely minding my own business.
Please, you must ignore her, Marvin. She's a bit elderly and feeble-minded. You know how it is.
Feeble-minded? You dare call me feeble-minded? I've half a mind to show you just how feeble-minded I am. Feeble-minded, feeble-minded.
Please, sir, you must ignore her. Tell me more about these tales that you've heard.
They told you I was lovely.
You're all feeble-minded, every single one of you.
Did they say anything about me?
Yes, they said you
Now listen here, ladies.
Please, for the love of God. I must know. Did they say anything about me?
Yes, they said you were adopted.
Mother wants to know if you'll stay for supper.
Yes, I would like that very much. Elenore. May I call you Elenore? I meant what I said before, about you being lovely.
You're lovely too. My mother said that I'm poor complexion, that I have facial scars and poxy, and that I'll never meet a man.
Met me, haven't you?
My skin does not repulse you.
On the contrary, I find your beauty marks compelling.
No one's ever called them beauty marks before. Good sir, I feel that I should know you better.
Ask me anything.
Did you show up just for me?
No, I'm afraid I had other business to attend to.
With Mama?
Hmm?
You came because you had a business with Mama?
No. Other business here in town. While I was here, I heard about your grandfather, passed on. So I figured I'd stop in, deliver my condolences, and accidentally break your window in. I do apologize
I
again for that.
understand, but how did you come to hear tales about me?
From the villagers, of course. They said you were a handsome woman, kissed by God, they told me. Or perhaps afflicted by God. I couldn't really hear their words, but it sounded like a fondness they were speaking of you. And so I see they were correct.
Would you take me with you? Back to Wales or wherever it is you're going after this?
I'm really very hungry, actually. Why don't we discuss this after supper? Hmm?
Yes, of course, my lord.
Elenore, please, call me Marvin. Kissed by a frog, more like.
I trust you enjoyed your supper.
Yes. If you like burnt sausages, that is. Do you have any more coal, by the way? The fire's going out.
I believe we have some more kindling out by the hogshed. I'll have Elenore go and fetch you some. Yes.
Nonsense! What's the point of having a big, strong man around the house if I can't do some of the heavy lifting for you from time to time?
But you are our guest.
Am I?
I brought some tea for you and biscuits for when you return. Normally at this point in the evening, Papa would offer you a cigar, but I'm afraid we haven't any in the household. And, well, as you're the only gentleman here tonight, I dare say I'm not entirely sure what the proper protocol is for such an occasion. You see, Papa's left everything in such a disarray. He's passed away in such a hurry.
I see. And your servants, where are they?
And it's been a very difficult time, Mr. Babcock. Now, please, go out to the hogshed and then enjoy your biscuits.
And?
Hmm?
Aren't you going to invite me to spend the evening?
Oh, but, of course, if you wish.
Most indeed. For you see, it will be a great many miles until my next sojourn, and I would hate to start on such a journey at this dreadful hour of the evening. I would very much like to stay, Miss Henrietta.
Well, then, I'll go and make up the servants' quarters for you. They've been vacant for quite some time, and while I'm sure they're not as lofty as you're used to...
What
they're
about
quite...
in your bed?
I beg your pardon.
I said, what about in your bed? It is the largest in the county, from what I've been told.
Mr. Babcock, this is highly inappropriate.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm afraid you've misunderstood me, madam. You see, what I meant was, why don't I sleep in your bed? And you can go and sleep in the servants' quarters. It is customary, after all, to offer your guests the finest that your household has to offer, is it not?
Well, I dare say that's not how
Please! Allow me to rephrase the question. You see, I was brought up in a tiny cottage just outside of Oxford. For 11 years of my life, I was raised to believe that I was the simple son of a lowly goat herd. The man who cared for me was a lovely chap who called himself my dad. His hands, rough, calloused, like the skin of a dead rhinoceros. I assume you're curious about this analogy, and I will arrive at that in just a moment. But you see, up until my 11th birthday, I believed, nay, I knew it in my soul, that I was worthless. Goat farmers, lowly offspring, worth little more than the quart and a half of milk I routinely squeezed out of our nanny's wretched teat. But on that fateful day, the 11:15. It was actually 11:11, if my memory serves. On the date of my 11th birthday, in the 11th month of the year, no less, I discovered something marvelous. You see, our landlord, Mr. Babcock, Sir Chesterfield Babcock, the elder, that is, came down to survey his land. He rode in a horse-drawn carriage, gleaming brilliantly in the tardy morning sun. The golden wreaths of Caesar were embossed upon his doorknobs. His rails were solid brass. When he stepped celestially from that chariot, as though I seen the face of God himself. No man could be that heavenly, and yet here is the face of the Almighty. Called out in a basso profundo voice, "You, dear boy, come hither!" He asked me what my name is. "Marvin," I replied. "Marvin Pimbury, my lord, at your service." "Marvin Pimbury," he repeated in a tone that one should only describe as joking. The wretch I used to call my father approached. He bowed profusely before this Goliath and offered his sincere apologies. For you see, it had rained a tempest on the eve before, and the farm was in a shambles. "Nonsense," said Sir Chesterfield. "I have come on happy tidings. You see, it is my grandson's 11th birthday." "But my lord," the calloused man protested. "Tut, tut," said Sir Chesterfield. This day would come. He placed a gentle hand upon my shoulder. "My son," he leaned in close, so close, I could smell the apple brandy on his breath. "You look just like your father. He was a difficult lad, but I dare say I loved him. I wish that I could tell you a delightful tale of it. Prodigal son returned home after a lifetime of debauchery and sin into his loving father's open arms. Alas, your father died nearly a year ago, traveling upon a merchant vessel that was capsized heading out into sea. Slightly more than 11 years before he passed away. Had a gallery to look for nothing. I recall him here, looking at the shattered remnants of the goat herd I used to call my father, with an air of pity and of scorn. "A slattern! A low-born, pathetic woman who seduced your father and gave birth to you, dear mother. She did not survive the process. Ashamed, terrified of what my wrath might be, your father, my son, begged this here goat herd to be your father and to raise you as his own. He paid him 40 shillings, 20, Alice man interrupted. 20. 20. There's the chestnut. And then he fled to Scotland. Once there, he turned to gambling and to drink, and eventually he joined the Royal Navy. But I don't know. Oh, my dear boy, if only I had known, I would have raised you as my own dear son. I swear this to you with all my heart. Alas, I've only just now discovered you through his letters, tucked away inside his trunk. Letters that I surely never would have opened. Save for grief, transported me to madness upon his death. It was in these letters that I discovered your existence, and that, my dear boy, is why I am here today. You see, I wish to raise you as my grandson, and not some lowly goat herd. No offense, good man. For surely you are a Babcock, my dear boy, and not a Penberry at all.
My lord, why on earth are you telling me?
My grandfather took me in immediately after that. He raised me in a palatial estate. Treated me with figs. I had servants to wait on me endlessly, to feed me, bathe me, tend to my every whim and base desire. He took me on safari for my 13th birthday to sub-Saharan Africa. And I shot a lion, a dozen elephants, 2 rhinoceri, and 17 giraffes. I say, you've never lived a day till you've stood upon the carcass of a dead giraffe. He took me in, raised me as a nobleman from that day forward, despite my bastard roots. He gave me a taste of finer things in life. I've had caviar for breakfast. I played cricket with the Prince of Wales. So you see, ever since that fateful day 11 years ago, no matter how I try, no matter what I do really, I simply cannot fall asleep upon a servant's bed. Therefore, I shall sleep in your bed, or I shall not sleep at all. I do hope you understand. My dear Miss Henrietta, I will say again, you shall make your bed for me, and you shall make the servant's bed for you, and I will hear no more about it. Understood?
Of course, my lord.
Oh, and Henrietta? Would you be a dear and fetch some wood for me outside? Oh, it's far too cold for me out there.
As you wish, my lord.
I don't know what to make of it. A stranger sleeping in our home. Your mother not awake in time for breakfast. It's all turning into cobwebs, if you ask me. The entire state will turn to dust if we're not careful.
I don't know, Grandmama. I sort of like it.
What? Destruction?
No. Excitement. The house feels brighter now. It's
Disturbing? Who will feed the chickens now? And the pigs?
I'll take care of it, as I always do.
Ha! You'll take care of the flower petals and the dandelions from the look within your eyes.
I think he fancies me.
Who? The dandelion?
No, the man upstairs.
Oh, yes, well, blessed are the meek, the Bible says.
No, I mean directly upstairs, Mr. Babcock.
I wouldn't trust him. He isn't who he says he is.
But I think he's nice.
Well, I think you're a fool is what I think.
He kissed me, you know.
Oh, well, I'll bet he did.
He told me I was lovely.
I think he's lied to you.
Well, if you must know, he was a perfect gentleman.
Your grandfather was a perfect gentleman, and I certainly never made eyes at him the way you've made at Mr. Babcock. No, my dear. I don't believe he's been a gentleman at all. In fact, I'd say it's a rather rare thing for a woman to become all dewy-eyed and sentimental over a perfect gentleman, now isn't it? Surely there must be something scandalous about him, or else why would he elicit such emotion?
Well, I don't think you're correct, Grandmama. I think he is a gentleman, and I think he's very much in love with me.
And your mother calls me the lonely one. Which reminds me, where is your mother? I feel as if I haven't eaten in days.
You haven't.
Oh, no, I'm sure of it.
No, Grandmama, we tried, but...
No, I'm certain of it. I remember chicken soup with a biscuit on the side.
That was Sunday. We haven't had chicken soup since Sunday. Today is Wednesday.
Ha! Go and find your mother. Marvin. What sort of a name is Marvin?
Oh my goodness. What time is it?
Well past time for you to be up and dressed and ready for the day. What in the world has gotten into you?
Oh, I don't know. My body is stiff, my neck is aching. I don't know how the servants ever managed it.
The servants? What are you on
Mr.
about?
Babcock! Mother, why is Mr. Babcock in your bed?
It is not what it appears to be, I can assure you.
Oh,
Mr. Babcock! Your namesake is showing!
Oh. Forgive me, ladies. It appears that I may have given Miss Elenore here a little fright.
It wasn't little. I was fright. It was a terrible fright. It wasn't little at all.
Well, I say, Mr. Babcock, I have given you permission to sleep in my bed whilst I slept in the other room, but I believe you're beginning to take advantage. I don't know how you do things down in Wales, but here in Orpington, we prefer to sleep with our clothing on.
Of course. I'm terribly sorry, my lady.
Mr. Babcock, there's something familiar about you.
Is there?
Yes, Mother, you met him last evening when he arrived.
Yes, but there's something familiar about all of this.
There's something familiar about a naked man in our sitting room.
My dear ladies, with your permission.
Yes, go on. Now, Mother, what...
Wait!
Oh!
Mr. Babcock, I must know. What are your intentions here with us?
Well, for the time being, madam, I intend to be less undressed.
Oh!
Good day.
Not hiding something? Well, yes, I dare say he had it all laid out in front of us. Rather awkwardly, in my opinion. And just what other room were you sleeping in, pray tell?
I was in the old servants' quarters, in Mrs. Edmund's old room.
Ha! You're all feeble-minded, every last one of you.
Mother, do you think Mr. Babcock and I would make a decent match?
Well, I dare say he's very well endowed. In fortune, from what I gather. Sir Chesterfield the elder was a very wealthy man.
Whatever happened? Never mind.
With Sir Chesterfield the younger? No, he was an old acquaintance of mine, a very fond acquaintance from the glory days, but he was engaged to the Earl of Cambridge's daughter, the Lady Maria Elderby. Alas, poor Chesterfield never stood a chance.
Nor did you, it sounds like.
No, I don't suppose I did. But I met your father, and he's been very good to me, even after he died. He left us a beautiful estate, furs and linens, practically anything a woman could desire. Of course, I never learned to manage it quite the way he could. What was it he always said? The women are made for dainties and tarts, and the men are made for smarts. Yes, but it's true. Then your grandpapa agreed to help, and, well, we all know how that ended. Alas, I have no idea what he's done with anything, apparently. He could have spent it all on drink, for all I can
didn't
figure.
drink.
No, but your grandmama sure did.
She did? Oh, my.
Still does, for all I know. The Lord knows where she gets it from, since we haven't any money. Suppose it was Papa's way of preparing his soul for heaven, in a way. It's like the Bible always tells us. It's far easier to stick a needle in a camel's eye than for a rich man to get into heaven. His soul was in no danger by the end, according to that standard, and nor are either of ours from the looks of it.
Well, that's one way to view the situation, Mama.
I'd rather go to hell than to make another boiled omelette. Where the hell is Edgar's money? And where in God's name is Mrs. Edmonds? Where did your grandpapa leave the money?
Oh, forgive me, ladies, am I interrupting something?
No! Mama and I were just preparing breakfast.
How delightful. Would you mind boiling me up an omelette today? I have some dreadfully boring errands to attend to up in town, and I'd hate to start them on an empty stomach.
Yes, of course.
Mr. Babcock! Will you be leaving us for good this afternoon? Or?
Why, that decision lies entirely with you, my dear Miss Elenore. Would you like me to stay this afternoon?
Oh, yes. Mama! Can Mr. Babcock stay another evening?
Yes, that would be lovely. Most lovely indeed.
Until this afternoon, my lady. I shall count the hours, like a rooster counts his head.
I think he loves me.
I think he'd better, or I'll be boiling him up next.
Yes, Mother? I know you blame me, dear, but I had nothing to do with it.
Of course not. Nothing to do with what?
With losing your father's money. I know you all think of me as feeble-minded, but I'm as sound as the day I was born. I assure you, I'd remember if I had lost it.
Yes, unless you spent it all on drink.
What?
Nothing. Mama, would you like some more tea to drink?
No. Have you tried the dresser drawers?
Yes, I've checked the dresser drawers 3 times, just to be certain. It's nowhere to be found.
Because your father often carried money in his trousers, if I recall correctly. Have you checked inside his trousers?
Every single pair. Elenore, was Papa wearing trousers when he died?
Well, I dare say that he was. He wasn't like some of these young men these days, running around all naked as a jaybird.
Yes, I know. Papa was a decent man. But I need to know which trousers he was wearing so I can determine if I've searched in them or not.
They were the grey ones, Mama, with frayed edges near the heels. I remember because when I found him face down near the woodshed on that dreadful morning, his legs were sticking out, and I thought, oh, very odd. I wonder why Mrs. Edmund hadn't taken the pains to mend them yet.
That's the first thing you thought of when you saw my father dead?
No, Mama. The first thought I had was it's not even noon yet. I wonder why Grandpapa's sleeping near the woodshed, and then I saw
Yes, that's fine, that's fine. Did we bury him in his grey trousers, or did we bury him in his blue ones?
I can't remember.
Well, of course he was buried in his trousers. What do you think he was buried in? His pantaloons?
Yes, but I shall have to go into town today to visit Mr. Fennimore.
The undertaker.
Yes, if Papa's left money in his trousers, Mr. Fennimore was sure to have found it.
But wouldn't he have mentioned it by now?
Perhaps, but it never hurts to make an inquiry, now does it?
But perhaps he considered it part of his fee.
Well, then he's considered wrongly, now hasn't he? I will be polite, of course, but I will be watching for any hint of dissimulation. A single twitch and I'll know.
Know what?
Are you even listening, Mother, or have you gone deaf as well as daft?
Lord knows I wish the cholera had taken you instead of your brother.
Well, it didn't. So you're stuck with me, I'm afraid. And I'm about to pay a visit to the undertaker.
What? About what exactly?
About Papa's bloody trousers, that's what.
Ha! You young people and your bloody trousers. In my day, we kept them on, no matter what.
When did you ever wear trousers, Mama?
But Mama, suppose Mr. Fennimore did pilfer Grandpapa's money.
Our money?
Yes, but whatever could you do about it? It's not likely he'd just hand it back to you, no, would he?
No. You'd be surprised, my dear. The mind of a thief is a multifaceted thing. He might be so distraught by our desperate situation that he says, "Oh, Miss Henrietta, my dear Miss Henrietta, of course I found your papa's money. But finding neither the time nor the proper moment to return it to you, I've secured it in a safe for the precise moment you return." And I would say, "Oh, Mr. Fennimore, my dear Mr. Fennimore, you have no idea how indebted we are to you." And I would invite him over for supper. And you would play on the pianoforte, my pet, an Almaggio dolcissimo. And he and I would dance the night away to a Vesuvienne.
And she calls me feeble-minded.
You wish to dance the night away with the undertaker.
And why not? He's a perfectly respectable man. And he's never wanting for customers, that's for sure. He's far better than that creature you've been ogling in there. Oh, goodness.
Oh, no.
Mr. Babcock!
Another one.
Pardon me, ladies. Please forgive me. It appears that I've gone and shattered another one of your window panes again. 6 of them, in fact.
My
Dear me. I've been ever so clumsy lately. I shall pay for them, of course.
Oh, nonsense, Mr. Babcock. You're a guest of our household. You'll pay for no such thing.
But if you're handy with a trowel and some putty, perhaps. Never mind.
My dear Miss Elenore, might I have a word with you, perhaps? Alone?
Mr. Babcock, is it raining out?
Why, no, madam. It's a perfectly pleasant day.
There's something wrong with him.
Oh, I think he's a perfect gentleman.
Well, he certainly is rather clumsy.
I hadn't noticed.
Oh, he's nothing like his uncle. Chet was a gallant man, a regular Lothario. I dare say none of that charm has passed through his brother's lineage.
Are we fairly certain that Sir Chesterfield had a brother? If I recall correctly, we could not have married you to Sir Chesterfield due to his betrothal. So we found you Edgar Dumpier, the milliner's son, instead. If Sir Chesterfield had a brother, why didn't he seek you out?
No. I recall Chet used to speak of him often when we were friends. His name was Thomas. Sir Thomas Winifred Babcock, Captain of the Royal Navy. Of course, according to Marvin, he was quite the... Well, Marvin's never met him.
And don't you find that odd?
Oh, no, of course not. Lots of men die off before their children get to meet them. It's tragic, of course, but it's certainly not odd. Oh, well?
He's asked for my hand in marriage.
Oh, well then. Why do you look so troubled?
Because it wasn't to him.
What?
It was to Mr. Fennimore up in town.
The Undertaker!
Yes. Apparently he's desired me for quite some time, and he's asked Mr. Babcock to be the go-between.
Mr. Fennimore fancies you!
Yes, apparently he's fancied me for quite some time.
Oh, but why on earth is Mr. Babcock proposing?
Yes?
Mr. Babcock, why on earth are you proposing to my daughter on another man's behalf?
It's what I do, Captain.
What do you mean it's what you do?
And it wasn't a proposal, actually, as much as it was a sacred vow.
What do you mean?
I mean that I have sworn an oath to give your daughter's hand to Mr. Fennimore in marriage.
Mother!
Oh, goodness, and what gives you the right to make such a decision for our family when you are but a guest?
Am I? You see, you keep using this word, guest, madam, as if it meant something. In truth, I find it quite insulting.
In what way?
In what way?
In what way is it insulting? Are you not our guest?
A guest must be invited, Mistress Dumpy. A guest must be welcomed in with open arms. But if I recall correctly, I had to force my way inside. I had to break your bloody window in, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, I am an intruder, Lady Elenore. I dare say. I am not your guest at all.
But we gave you our permission.
Did you? No, I seem to recall you gave me acquiescence. Did you have a choice? 2 widows and a spinster, whose face is all mangled with the devil's pox. Oh no, what choice had you at all? Your men have squandered their abundance and left you desperate and absurd. You saw a handsome chap in your twilight hour of despair, and you became enamored. Not that I can blame you, though. I am rather stunning, after all. Was it my appearance, my charm, or merely my pretense of money that drew you in? And after all, what could you have done? Could you have asked me to leave? Escorted me outside? Oh, surely you can't imagine I would leave. Not without a show of force. But you haven't any servants. Not a weapon on the grounds. And what good are those weak, pathetic arms of yours against a virile, brutish man like me?
We have hatchet in the woodshed.
Oh, do you now? I thank you, Lady Elenore. I shall procure it instantly. Oh, but one more thing before I leave. Please don't bar the door against me while I'm gone. I shall only shatter more windows to regain my entrance, and the house is getting rather draughty, don't you think?
I never. Of all the things.
I told you he was up to no good.
No, you told him he didn't have to pay for the window he smashed. Now how on earth is he to repair the damages he's inflicted?
Mother,
What?
do I really have to marry Mr. Fennimore?
Oh no, dear, of course not. Mr. Babcock's surely playing some jape of some kind, some unfunny lark at our expense. We'll sort it all out, I promise.
I don't think he's playing any games, Mama. I think he means it.
Oh, nonsense. He has no jurisdiction over our family's affairs. And why is everything all wet?
What are you walking on about now?
Well, Mr. Fennimore's a handsome man, really, when you get down to it. You could certainly marry worse. Isn't that right, Mr. Babcock?
meant as a marching tune, not a... It was meant as motivation for the gentleman. Quite different than the way you sang it just now, which was quite charming, by the way. Back then, he was fighting in the 100 Days' War against that short buffoon. What was his name? Nimblian, something or other. Well, on the 101st day, he was still singing that god-awful tune, Lord bless him. The midget had been exiled, and here I was, still being tortured by your grandfather's painful caterwauling. I forbade him ever to sing the song in this house again, so I can't imagine how you heard it.
You used to sing it to me at bedtime to help me sleep. I think it was the only song you knew.
Yes, I suppose it was. Well, I'm glad someone has fond memories of it.
Grandmama, were you frightened when you married Grandpapa?
Frightened? Oh, no, dear. Bitter, perhaps. A little angry at your great-grandparents, but frightened. Oh, no. Your grandfather was a gentleman. A little too gentle, you know what I mean. But he never gave me cause for alarm.
I don't know what you mean.
Oh, never mind, dear child. Just the ramblings of a foolish old woman, paying no mind.
I see.
Are you frightened, dear child?
Yes. A little, but if...
Oh, no. Don't worry about that. Don't worry at all. I'm sure Mr. Fennimore has seen some pretty horrible things as an undertaker. I'm sure he'll be fine with your face.
I wasn't even worried about that.
What?
Never mind. I was just frightened. For you and Mama here alone in the house with Mr. Blackhawk. There's no telling what mischief he might cause. I've never met a man like him, so cruel, so virile. And all this time I thought he loved me. And I can't figure out why he would call me beautiful and lovely and the way he kissed me and what kind of monster would do such a thing? You rest now. Lord knows you deserve it. What, dear? I said, Lord knows you deserve your rest.
Oh, no, dear. I'll get all the rest I'll need when I'm dead. But for now, there's plenty of living left to do. Plenty of living.
Yes. There is.
I do thank you for coming to see us so quickly, but I'm afraid we have no dowry to offer you. You see, when my father died...
You can have their estate, Mr. Fennimore. The entire estate. Pigs and all.
Oh, Mr. Babcock, what on earth gives you the authority to... I see. Yes, you can have the estate, the entire estate, pigs and all. What a novel idea.
But where will you live? You and Grandmama?
Ha! I'll be long dead before he kicks me out.
Well, perhaps we can live with you as the mother bride and such.
Mr. Fennimore, the house will be yours at that point. What say you to this arrangement?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Fennimore. You are most kind indeed. Now, Elenore, tell me, dear, does this match please you?
Does it please you, Mama?
Your happiness is all I desire, child. You know this.
Mr. Babcock, you made promises to me when you first arrived, you know. You called me beautiful and lovely and...
And Mr. Fennimore agrees with me. Do you not, Mr. Fennimore?
Well, she's fair enough.
Fair enough, and her strange complexion doesn't bother you.
Why would it? I can't make babies with a face now, can I?
Well, Mr. Fennimore, you are not at all the man I thought you were.
Aye? What sort of man is that?
A good man, a kind-hearted man, the kind of man who fancied me, perhaps. You would want to dance with Sylvia on a pianoforte to promote your virtues.
I'm not even sure if those are words, Miss Dumpy. Besides, you two, well, they can't make babies you're drying up uterus neither.
Well then, good day, sir.
Mr. Babcock! Will you allow my mother to be spoken to in such a manner? In her own home, no less.
It won't be her home after you marry him, my dear.
Well then, I shall never marry you, nor him, nor any man who views women in such contempt. And you can make babies with the pigs for all I care.
Bloody hell! What crowed of her cracking died?
Give me back. And just what are you so happy about?
You're all feeble-minded, every last one of you. And don't think I don't recognize you, Mr. Babcock, because I do. Oh, yes, I remember you clear as day. And you too, Mr. Fennimore. You both think you're a foolish old woman now, don't you? But you're just a bunch of old wolves from back in the day. You've known each other for quite some time now. I dare say, yes, quite some time. And you work together, the two of you, quite as a team. That if you think you can corrupt my daughter as easily as you corrupted her mother, Mr. Babcock, Sir Marvin, then you are greatly mistaken. Oh, yes, and you too, Mr. Fennimore. You think you've outfoxed us all with your clever ruse. But you've met your match in Elenore Duncan, I can assure you of that. And as for you, Mr. Babcock, sir, ha! You're no more sir than I am the Queen of England. You've chosen the wrong household to return to, my dear boy. And I dare say you should have left many, many years ago, and through the day that you ever decided to return. My granddaughter, oh yes, my granddaughter will make you rue the day you ever decided to return. A sir. Ha! You wouldn't be a sir, but Queen Mother herself gave you a title. Sir?
Now, what the bloody hell was everybody going on about?
Never you mind. Stay here. And for God's sake, save the baby making talk for after you're married.
The dead never give me half as much trouble as the live ones do.
I'm sorry, Mother, that they ever spoke to you in such a manner. Their behavior, it's abhorrent. I don't understand how one could ever tolerate such creatures.
What creatures, my dear?
Men.
Oh, my dear child. Men are like eggs. If you leave them in the water too long, they become hard and unmalleable. But they can be soft and tender if you break them early enough. Mr. Babcock's been left out in the sun too long. He's turned rotten.
And Mr. Fennimore?
Oh, that man's brains have been scrambled from dealing with that vagabond in there. But they do not represent all men. Your father was kind, and your grandfather was, well, you know.
No, I don't know. Why does everyone keep implying something about Grandpapa that I don't understand?
Because you don't pay attention, my dear. Important details seem to slip on by you.
Such as?
Well, such as Mr. Babcock's flirtations, for one. Did you not sense that they were disingenuous?
No! Why would I assume?
Because your face, my child. You're not the kind of man that anyone could ever fall in love with, I'm afraid. I mean, men might marry you,
No,
yes, or procreate,
no, Mama! I reject that notion! There is more to me than just my abnormalities! I have an intellect and I have...
Yes, of course there's more to you than that. I know that. Your grandmama knows that. Your grandpapa knew that when he lived. It's just other men are...
Like what? Eggs, Mama!
Yes, like eggs. And they believe that they are the center of the universe, and that we must sit on them and coddle them and warm them when they're chilly, and protect their fragile feelings from the outside elements. I was in love once, Elenore, before your father. I loved him with every fiber of my being. I gave myself to him. I gave him everything I was, everything I knew I was. And then his father discovered us. Sir Chesterfield Babcock the elder. He found us in his son's bedroom, engaged, and he called me a harlot. He had me thrust out of his gates like some common street whore. I had no wagon with me, no shoes even upon my feet. I had left them in Chet's bedroom. I had to walk for nearly 2 days, our souls exposed, till one of our neighbors found me, took me home the rest of the way. That weekend I heard the news that Sir Chesterfield the younger was betrothed. Your grandfather never said a word about it. Never treated me unkind, although I'm sure I disappointed him terribly. And your grandmama, well, she arranged her marriage with your father. It were trying times those days. So much desperation. I look back on those days often and I wonder, what on earth did I ever see in such a beast? He could have fought his father. He could have wrestled off the yoke of societal obligation and found his way back to me, to my arms, to my bedchambers, to my soul's desire. But instead, he married her, absconded off into the distance with my heart. What kind of a person does that? What kind of a person doesn't fight for the one he loves? It wasn't a woman, Elenore. I can tell you that much. Because when it comes to love, a woman fights. A woman fights. She fights. Ugh, not now, Mama. I'm not in the mood to fight.
He was a handsome man, that Chesterfield. A very handsome man indeed.
To your pleasure, but my heart is mine to give, it isn't yours. I would have given it to you, you know. Your words of flattery and love. The music of your poetry hit the poison of your meaning, and I was far too dumb to understand it. Struck dumb by your elaborate deception. I may not be a great beauty, Mr. Babcock. I know that now, nay, I've known it my entire life. But for just a moment, I believed that I had something beautiful inside me, something beautiful that you, and you alone, could see. And I allowed myself to feel. You don't understand women, do you, Mr. Babcock? You don't understand people of any ilk, do you? Do you know what makes us humans? It isn't our money or inheritance, or even our fancy titles. It's love. The ability to love, the capacity to love. I love my mother very much. And my grandmother too. And for just a moment, I believe I loved you too. Just a fleeting, insignificant second in your eyes, but you've disappointed me greatly, Mr. Babcock. You've destroyed my trust in love. This heart belonged to me, but you've stolen it from me for just a moment. But knowing my heart was ever yours, that it could ever be owned by such a cold and calculating fiend, that this beating heart within my ribs could ever fit so casually to the whims of such a beast as you, well, it makes me hate my heart, Mr. Babcock. It makes me hate that I ever loved. It makes me hate that such a foul contraption could ever live within my body. So if you have any compassion left in you, if you have any love or kindness left in you, you will take this hatchet and split me open. You will remove the offending organ from behind my breast and crush the detestable heart in front of me. Go on, do it, once and for bloody all.
My Lady Dumpy.
Please, call me Henrietta.
As you wish.
Mr. Fennimore, before we continue on, there's simply one thing I must know. When you were preparing my father for burial, did you notice anything unusual about his trousers?
His trousers, my lady?
Yes, any coins, perhaps, or paper notes stuffed in his pockets?
Well, none that I can recall, no.
So you received no extra benefit from my father's passing, is that correct?
Well, apart from my standard fee of 12 quid, my lady, now.
Please.
Fine. Here we are. But I dare say you look more like an Abigail to me.
An Abigail?
Aye. Just my mother's name. And you look to be about her age and disposition. When she died. I mean.
Well, then, I imagine your mother was a handsome woman.
Right, she was fair enough.
Fair enough. But that's what you said about my daughter.
Aye.
Are all women just fair enough?
Aye. You have to understand this, Henrietta. I've been a widow with an eye on 20 years now. I buried my own wife back in '62. I was the only undertaker in all of Orpington, so I took on the job myself. Rather good at it, if you don't mind me saying. I have rather a knack for it. 25 years of stitching, cutting, hammering the nails into the caskets, and washing and dressing, and carving the tombstones with my own two hands. I barely had time to notice the fairer sex. Well, it's not that I didn't notice them. They were somewhat caught my eye. Arabella Kensington. Poor thing died in the wishing well. And there she was, laid out on my table. Pretty as an angel up in heaven she was. Minus the bloody head wound and all. But there she was, naked as the day she was born.
Oh.
I'm sorry, in my line of work I sometimes forget the courtesies expected in polite society. But there's really no other way to go about saying it, is there? You just kind of have to go out there and see it. There she was, unclothed. Miss Henrietta, the only attractive women to give me the time of day in the last 20 years were the ones on the examination table. I do know it's impolite to talk about what I did to her for the next 2 days. So I'll leave out the basic details for now. Suffice it to say that my opinion of beauty has been swayed by my choice of companions over the last 20 years. These days the presence of a pulse is quite enough for me. That the ability to provide a son. Yeah, truth be told, in another time, I might have favored you. You have a coldness about you that I find attractive. But it is critical to me that I have a son to pass on my estate, as it were. That's why my affections have turned to your daughter as of late.
See, and what if she provides you a daughter? Or proves to be infertile? You do not love her just the same.
Well, come on, Miss Henrietta, what difference does love make when it comes to children? And besides, look at your own situation. You and your mother, your daughter, are trapped in this house, worthless and alone without a man to take care of you, which I'm willing to do for all three of you if you'll have me.
See? And what have you promised Mr. Babcock to engender his assistance?
Right. Mr. Babcock and I have known each other for a very long time. Since he was a baby, as a matter of fact. All he asked of me was a proper burial when the time came. Right? Proper burial. In exchange, he promised me a son. A new life for an old death, he called it. Passing of the torch to a new generation, if you will.
Is Marvin really a Babcock?
Aye, he's a Babcock, all right. But not the sort of Babcock you're thinking of. No, he's a very different sort of Babcock entirely.
How odd. Thank you for your candor, Mr. Fennimore.
At any time, Miss Henrietta.
Oh, please, call me my lady. It sounds so much nicer in your dialect. Oh, goodness, my dear child, what's wrong? Is it your menstrual?
No, Mama, Mr. Babcock really struck me with that hatchet.
Oh, my goodness. Well, he really is a clumsy ox, isn't he? This bread's been freshly baked and he's ruined it. Oh, goodness. Mr. Fennimore? Mr. Fennimore, would you come in here, please? Would you be ever so kind as to remove this hatchet?
been stuck in so deep. What are you doing on the ground?
I'll pay her no mind. She's
Your
just
man nearly killed me with that hatchet.
Oh, nonsense. You're surely playing some kind of game.
Oh, no, he's a murderer, all right. I've seen him kill before.
You have?
Aye. About 3 weeks ago, we was coming from a pub up near Swanley. This bird flies by. Drops a big yellow turd right on his shoulder. Now, I saw the bird with my own 2 eyes, mind you, but when he turns around, all he sees is this old bit. He must have been 92 years old or something. And he looks at her and he says, "Hey! Why you thought to shoot my shoulder, you old bitch?" Now, I'm trying to tell her about the bird the whole time. He's not listening. He's just following this old biddy all the way down the road. And I keep trying to tell her about the bird, but by now the bird's long gone. And he's all yelling at her, "Hey, why you take the piss out of me?" and all that. And she's looking at him saying, "Shut off, you, and leave me alone, you old pig." You're provocative language, son. He goes to grab her. And she hits him with a cane so hard, he almost hits the ground. And I'm thinking, I hope he doesn't get up. Because if he does, there's going to be a murder up in Swanley. And sure enough, he got up. He got up. He grabbed that cane from out that old lady's hands. And he beat the bloody stuffing out of her. So there wasn't nothing left but bones. There was pieces of her. Rags and skin floating down the cobblestones on the leisurely current of her blood. And I felt so bad about not trying harder to stop him that I buried the old lady myself free of charge.
How awful. And did anyone come to her funeral?
Oh, no, we did it 2 hours later. Churchyard up near Einsford. It was pitch black outside. No one even knew she was gone when we was done.
No one?
Well, you have to understand. I knew he was only acting on impulse. I didn't want to see him swinging by his neck for a momentary lack of reasoning.
Dreadful. Now, can you please remove the hatchet before he returns?
I'm not in the mood for a midnight burial. He's in an awful temper. There's no telling what he might do if we don't. Oh, blimey, I've stuck it deeper than an Irish priest at a maypole parade.
Here, let me try. Well, come on then, let's go find him.
I loosened it for her.
Stranded on the river's there, the land behind is waiting. The sun will cry 1,000 tears. Drops will feel it raining. But never in a million years will I begin complaining. For I survived the I knew you would come. The last time I saw you, you were dead. When we gave your body to Mr. Fennimore, you were dead.
Never dead. Only dreaming.
Ah. Then those are the solemnest dreams I had ever witnessed. And for an infant too. For an infant to dream so deeply.
You knew that I was breathing.
I knew nothing of the sort. I'm not even certain you're breathing now.
And what else would I be doing?
Scheming, haunting my dreams and terrorizing my guilty soul.
So then you do have a guilty soul.
I must, or else you wouldn't be here, yes?
Perhaps yes. Perhaps no. Did my own father ever see me? Did he even know that I was born? Or did you lie to him as well? Did your daughter ever see me? Your husband? That is why you killed him too, yes? Because Grandfather Benedict figured it out?
How did you know?
How did I know? I'm an apparition, remember? I'm only in your conscience. Here to haunt you, yes? I know all of your deepest, darkest secrets, Madame Maude Bantam of the Rosecombe line, and I've come to collect my due.
Grandma, are you all right?
Lady Evan, I see you haven't cured my instinct. If you'll kindly hand it over, I may complete my business.
No.
I see you were never taught to be obedient. Mr. Fennimore, grab that hatchet, would you please?
I'm afraid I can't do that, Mr. Babcock. Well, she pulled that out of the bread by herself, fair and square, by all rights and purposes. It belongs to her now.
All right. Fine. Then I shall teach her how to obey me all by my lonesome. For God's sake, why does it always take a man to teach a woman how to exhibit womanly virtue?
Mr. Babcock, this is beyond the pale!
The hatchet, now!
Listen, I'm not really my very observant than that. I don't want to dig any holes on the
Shut up, you big loaf! Now, Elenore, hand me that bloody hatchet right this instant, or I shall carve a bloody frown into your grandmama's precious neck.
Don't give it to him, darling. Save yourselves. He'll only use it to kill you. No!
If you want to save her, you'll do as I command. The hatchet, now.
And what's stopping you from using it on us next?
I suppose you'll just have to trust me then, won't you?
I've already trusted you once, Mr. Babcock. It won't happen again.
What have you done?
Stop moving!
Mr. Babcock, this isn't the right time.
Shut up and help me!
Listen, I intend to make her my fiancée. I won't let you kill her before I do it.
Your fiancée? But she's hideous! Oh!
Elenore, she's...
She tried to murder me, you know. On the day that I was born. She shoved a napkin inside my throat and pinched my nose closed with her 2 fingers. My body turned pale, and then blue, and then cold, and you knew all about it.
What?
I was your child. Yours and Sir Chesterfield the younger. On the day that I was born, she gave me to Mr. Fennimore to dispose of. Mr. Fennimore didn't bury me though, did he? No, he kept me preserved inside a mason jar, inside his cabinet, where I lived. And grew and fed the hatred and the malice within my heart for you, for her, and even you, dear sister. Though I understand far more than most the depravity of blaming an innocent child for the malfeasances of its mother, there I festered inside that jar until one day your grandpapa showed up on Mr. Fennimore's operating table. He and I had many conversations over the years. He at his operating table, and I in my tiny glass room in the cabinet. Something different happened that day. Something about your grandfather's blood spilling out before me. You see, your grandfather didn't die of old age, or of some sad disease. Oh no, it was a letter opener, shoved deep into his abdomen on a cold autumn day out by the woodshed. And your grandmama paid Mr. Fennimore a visit the very same day, along with £10,000 for his silence. Now, how much did you say your estate was worth, Mistress Dumpy?
I don't believe you.
And how do you think I could afford such beautiful clothing, Mother? After all, I live inside a mason jar. And Mr. Fennimore, well, Mr. Fennimore is a rich man now, but he desires an heir. He's not a young man, though. I'm afraid he has a touch of the gout in his left leg, and a bit more than a touch in his right, so we'll have to move rather quickly on this one. That's what you say, Elenore. You can win back your entire family's estate right now with 2 simple words. I do, Do you? Or would you rather it all fell to ruin?
And what's in it for you?
Bury him. Mr. Fennimore promised to bury him. Properly. Finally. Marvin, I had no idea. They told me you died in childbirth. I didn't even name you. It was too hard.
I named him. I always thought if I had a son, I'd like to name him Marvin. I had a cousin in Wales, Marvin Kingbury. He liked to wrestle sheep. No particular reason. Well, I asked your mother about it. She said it'd be fine. So when she was gone, I took him and I put him in a jar and added chemicals, and that was that.
My mother said that would be fine.
Well, except for the part with the jar and the chemicals. I did that later.
And you never thought to ask where I was buried?
No, you have to understand. I was deeply in love with your father. Deeply, passionately in love. And then he broke my heart. And then when you died, I wanted to die as well. I don't remember that entire year of my life, Father. At some point in April, I married my father. I don't even remember the dress I was wearing. I just did as I was told, like a good English woman should. I'm ever so grateful for my daughter. I would have been grateful for you too. You have to believe me.
On the contrary, Mother. I don't have to believe anything. If you can convince Elenore to marry Mr. Fennimore, then perhaps I can finally be put to rest. If that occurs, then perhaps your guilty conscience may be put to rest as well.
I'll do it. I'll marry him. Mr. Fennimore. Good sir, though I am not very fond of you at present, I also know that I am no great beauty, and I believe that marrying you will do more good than harm in this world, so if you'll still have me, I will consent to be your wife.
Well, that's good to hear, Miss Elenore. Really it is. But I'm afraid I've got a confession to make too. See, in all this time we've been communicating, I find myself growing more and more attracted to your mother instead of you.
Mr. Fennimore!
Now, I know she's too old to give me a son. But after seeing how Mr. Babcock behaves, and seeing how you behave, Miss Elenore, I think I'd rather have a daughter after all. And if it don't upset you too much, Miss Elenore, or you, Miss Henrietta, I'd like to ask you if you had a marriage. Oh. To you, Miss Henrietta, don't be, despite still being alive, consent to be in my bride.
Yes, I do.
Wait! Am I being rejected twice in one day?
Oh, come on now, darling. Not everything is about you.
What about your estate? The one that you've been going on and on and on about. By God, the last 6 weeks, man, you've done nothing to talk about this bloody estate.
Well, I suppose I'll just have to leave it to Miss Elenore, or her family, if she ever decides to have one.
You disappoint me, Mr. Fennimore. You disappoint me deep.
Mr. Babcock, I'll still marry you. Last rights and everything. And this time you'll have witnesses. If you choose a point.
Of course.
Yes, anything.
My own mother, copulating with Mr. Fennimore. Oh. Mother, if you had seen half the things that I have seen from inside that jar, I am certain you would feel very differently right now. Elenore was right. I do not understand people. Then again, how could I? I was not raised among you, thanks to your dear mamma.
So, if this decision will satisfy our bargain, Mr. Fennimore, then I wish you the best in everything. And you too, Mother. Lady Elenore, if you would do me honors.
What?
I think he wants you to murder him.
Your grandmother murdered me 22 years ago. Tonight I return the favor. I simply need you to finish what she started.
But you're my brother.
I am a 7-pound infant in a jar. I've spent the last 22 years of my life swimming in formaldehyde. I can assure you, death will be a blessing.
But how are you here?
I cannot explain the mysteries of the universe. I only state that I am tired. I wish to be put to rest. Now please, help me be at rest.
But Mr. Fennimore's the Undertaker,
No,
surely.
no. I tried to pull the hatchet from the brain. It would not much for me.
Nor for me. The task must fall to you, Elenore. Mr. Babcock, wait! Why did you only torment me and not your father?
Men never suffer from childbirth, Mary. Only the women. It is time.
Did you ever find me beautiful?
I find all beauty. Any other soul on earth